Hello everybody and welcome. This is Jeremy Moskowitz, Group Policy MVP and founder of PolicyPak software. And in this video we're going to learn how you can deploy group policy settings to your Citrix XenApp Streaming applications. Now before we go into the demonstration, I just want to kind of set the stage really fast. It's true that XenApp Streaming can handle proper policies keys. So if you have applications that are already group policy aware, like say Office 2010, that's great. You've made a fine choice in picking XenApp Streaming, and it'll pick up the group policy settings there. But the downside is that actually 99% of applications store their settings somewhere else, like Acrobat Reader or FileZilla. In fact, FileZilla doesn't store its stuff in the registry at all. It stores its stuff in an XML file, or you take Fox IT3, that actually stores its stuff in an INI file, or OpenOffice, that stores its stuff in a weird file called an XCU file, or you take Firefox, that actually stores its stuff in some other wacky file type, not in the registry. So if we take a look at all the applications across your environment, probably the smallest fraction uses the proper policies keys, and therefore if you want to use group policy to deploy settings and manage your applications, you're going to have to think about something else. Now that's where PolicyPak comes in. So PolicyPak's job is to deliver settings directly to your real installed applications and also your Citrix XenApp Streaming app. So let's go ahead and get started with a quick demo here. Let's say for all of my West Sales users, I wanted to lock down WinZip for all users here. All right. So if I right click and click edit here, I'm linking a group policy object, working with the Active Directory and group policy infrastructure you already have. Dive down under PolicyPak applications here, and we'll go to new app. And PolicyPak ships with over 35 pre-configured packs with pretty much every setting you could possibly imagine to get to inside your applications. But for this quick example, we'll go to PolicyPak WinZip. PolicyPak for WinZip 14 and 15, just as our first example here. And what we want to do is, first note that the UI looks exactly like the actual application we want to manage, which is really nice. And then let's set some security settings here and make sure users can't work around it. Let's increase our security by dictating the minimum password length. And then PolicyPak can also, for just about any application, you can disable or hide the corresponding control in the target application. So the idea is that that's going to gray out or literally remove the UI in your application. Now you've probably seen that for some applications if it's supported, but PolicyPak goes the extra mile for applications even if it's not built into the application. So we're going to right click over here and click disable on that, and we'll right click over this setting and hide it. So I'm making some manipulations here. Over cameras, we're going to right click over cameras and check this out, disable the whole tab in the target application. So now when we click OK here, we've now set the policy inside Group Policy and Active Directory. We'll now go over to our client machine, and let's go ahead and get a command prompt here and then run GP update. Now when we run GP update, it's going to pull the latest, greatest group policy settings in. Now we could of course also log off and log back on, or change computers, or use a new VDI session, or pretty much anything else. So as soon as we get the latest, greatest group policy, this is going to stay with us. So let's go ahead and check it out. We've got two things side by side here. We've got the real installed WinZip, and then we have the WinZip Streaming. So let's click on the real WinZip first, and let's take a look at that. And if we go to Options Config here and go to Passwords, hey, look at that. It did exactly what we wanted. We delivered 11, and it's unchangeable for the user. We've delivered the 4 checkboxes, and we've literally removed the UI there. And if we go to cameras, hey, look at that. We can't click on cameras either. So we're increasing the security using group policy to our regular applications. And here's the WinZip Streaming version here. Now you'll see that if you hover over it, it's using the ICA client to do the WinZip offline streaming. So the idea is that this is going to be maintained on the client machine even when we have no network connection. And that's coming down streamed from the Citrix server. So if we take a look, go to Options Config and go to Passwords, look at that. We inject exactly the policy settings we want to right into the application dynamically. And I'll show you how we do this in just a little bit. But I want to kind of go over some other examples. But look at that. We've been able to dictate the exact settings we want. And if we want to change these dynamically by simply going back to the policy and updating, say, passwords, we want to go to 15 or something like that. That's totally great. The next time we get group policy, we'll run GP update and see that it's updated across the board for all of our applications. So there we go. Let's rerun Xenapp Streaming here. And now if we go to Options Config, go to Passwords, it's dynamically delivering the settings. So I've seen lots of people use like pre-startup scripts to jam in a particular registry item or something like that. That's great. It's a perfectly fine strategy, except it's not dynamic. And that is where PolicyPak not only delivers the settings dynamically, about who you are and what circumstances you want, but also we can do this magic lockdown that only PolicyPak can do. You can't do that using group policy or the group policy preferences. So let's take another example here. Let's go to Acrobat here. So this is another side-by-side example. Here you've got Acrobat 10 streaming, and here you have Acrobat X running from directly on the XenApp server. So let's go ahead and run the one on the XenApp server just for fun to show you that. And we'll also run the streaming one. And they're going to run side by side. Okay, they're going to run side by side. One is presented from the XenApp server. The other one is streamed from the XenApp server. Here we go. You can see them both starting up, doing their thing. And there we go. So now they're running side by side. If I go to Edit Preferences on this guy, this is the one that's streamed from, this is the one that's presented from the Citrix server. If I want to, if I'm a user and I click this checkbox, I'm becoming less secure on my Citrix server. And if I uncheck this checkbox, I'm becoming less secure on my Citrix server. We definitely don't want that. And for the streaming version of this, again, you want to protect your users every way you can. So again, if a user has that checkbox checked, you're probably going to want it unchecked, which is the Enable Acrobat JavaScript checkbox. Same thing with Enhanced Security. If they uncheck this checkbox, gosh, they're putting themselves at risk, and we certainly don't want that. So what are we going to do? Let's use the power of group policy to dictate the right settings to every instance of the application from Citrix. So what we'll do here is we will lock down Acrobat Reader for all users. We'll right-click, click Edit here, and now we'll dive down under PolicyPak Applications, New App, and we'll pick Acrobat Reader X. So again, what we want to do is deliver for a JavaScript. We want to uncheck enable Adobe JavaScript here, and we'll right-click and disable the corresponding control in the target application. So we're going to uncheck the checkbox and lock it down so a user can't work around it. Under security, we're going to ensure that if it was unchecked, that we will recheck it, and we'll also disable the corresponding control in the target application. And lastly, for updater, unfortunately, sometimes we deploy our packages, but oops, we forgot to change the right setting. And in this case, maybe we want to do not download or install updates automatically. And while we're here, we also want to once again disable the corresponding control in the target application. So once we've deployed all of those settings, all we got to do is go back to our target machine, run GP update, and again, because we're running with the Citrix receiver here, both instances of Acrobat, the one that's deployed from the XenApp server, presented from the XenApp server, and the one that's streamed from the XenApp server, will both get exactly the same settings. And if I were to have a hand-installed version of Acrobat here, it would also pick up the exact same settings. So I'm going to run the one from the XenApp server first and just show you what that looks like first. And if we go to more information here, I might be able to catch it. It says applying registry policy, and then at the very end, we're going to apply the PolicyPak policy. There it was. It went by super fast, but it did actually do it. So we apply PolicyPak policy directly to the application. We'll go to Preferences here. Hey, look at that. We've unchecked that checkbox so a user can't work around it, and we've deploy the checkbox, but rather grayed it out so a user can't work around it. We go to JavaScript, we've unchecked the checkbox and they can't work around it. And we go to Updater and we've turned off automatic updates and they can't work around it. Excellent. Let's take a look at the streaming version of this now. So the streaming version is now officially here on the target machine, available offline. And if we go to Edit Preferences, look at that. We get the same settings, uncheckable. We go this right there, the same settings, uncheckable. We go to Updater, same settings and uncheckable. So that's the point. PolicyPak can deliver applications settings to real installed apps to applications that live on the XenApp server and also applications that are streamed from the XenApp server. Last but not least, let's take a look at Firefox here. So just for fun, I'm going to run Firefox 8 streaming first. I just want to show you the kinds of things that a user can do to kind of mess up your world here. Oh, sure, I'd love to take on Internet Explorer settings. We'll go ahead and say yes to all that. All right, sure, we'll make it the default browser. Everything's great, so we can close that out. And if a user goes to options here, maybe you want to dictate a guaranteed homepage for them. And maybe for the security settings, you want to make sure that if they do something nasty like uncheck these very important security settings, then those settings are redeployed again and again. So this is a streamed application. It lives on this machine. And if we were to now target Firefox, we're going to go to create a GPO and link it here. We're going to lock down Firefox for all users. Click Edit here, and once again under PolicyPak Applications, New App, and we'll go to Firefox. Now remember, Firefox doesn't keep its stuff in the registry. There's no easy peasy way to say wherever a user roams, make sure they get the exact same settings until now. So we're going to deploy, say, PolicyPak.com as the home page, and we'll also go to security settings and dictate that because the user turned off these security settings, we're going to turn them right back on. It's just that easy. So we'll go back to our target machine. We'll run GP update. And now, after GP update succeeds, the very next time we run Firefox from the XenApp streaming server, we're going to ensure that our settings will dynamically be placed inside Firefox. So if you have a new security concern, you have something that's updated, something you need to make sure is pushed out to all of your users or computers, you can do it instantly using the group policy infrastructure you already have. So let's go ahead and run Firefox streaming again. And there it is, PolicyPak.com. There's the home page. We'll go to Options and go to Security. Boom, it's checked just the way we expect. If they were to uncheck these settings or change the home page to, I don't know, I'll make it Google for now, google.com, something like that, the very next time group policy is updated, and then Firefox is run, you will see that we will get it back to PolicyPak.com, and all of the homepage settings are there, and the security settings are there. So you might be wondering, how hard is this to set up? Gosh, does it take a lot of infrastructure, a lot of moving parts to make this happen? The answer is no. It's very, very simple. It is true that PolicyPak does require that on all of your client machines, there's a little MSI called the PolicyPak client-side extension needs to be installed on all the target machines that you want to make the magic happen on. Okay? And of course, if you want to do it on the XenApp server itself, that's how we make the magic happen on the XenApp server. And I have another video just for XenApp. We're talking mostly here about streaming. So on the target machine here, you're going to have the PolicyPak client-side extension. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get the trial bits, all you got to do is come to PolicyPak.com. Go ahead and click here under Webinar Download. Sign up for one of our 1-hour demonstrations, and then afterward, we'll send you the bits, and you can try it out yourself. Looking forward to having you as part of the PolicyPak team. Thanks so much. Because remember, with PolicyPak, what you set is what they get. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.